Okay, this is a file that takes derivatives, and I've already written the code. I'm just going to talk about it. First thing I like to do is start off with a quit command that tells Mathematica just forget everything that we've done up till this point. To execute it on a laptop, you hold down Shift and hit the Enter key. Notice that it says that this was input number 1 that came to it, so nothing else has been done. Here I'm defining a function, y. I use one equal sign, so what that means is that whenever I say y, I'm going to get I'm going to get xt raised to the third power. Now this notation here with the bracket t, what that is doing is telling Mathematica that x is not a constant. Normally it just thinks all these symbols are constants, but I'm telling it that x is a function of time, and then I'm going to cube it with this. So when you hit Shift and Enter, it executes that, and it tells you what it thinks you just said. And so you'll see it's still running here, but it'll come back with x bracket t raised to the third power. So it's telling me that, yeah, it understood that command. Here's the command to take a derivative. I'm asking it to take the capital D. Everything that Mathematica knows how to do that's built into it starts with a capital letter. So taking a derivative is D. Most things are written out like to integrate, you type out integrate. But for some reason they decided to call derivative a D. So anyway, what's important is you use these square brackets here. So you're going to take a derivative. The first thing is, what do you want to take the derivative of? I want to take the derivative of y. And then you have to tell it what is the variable that you want to take a derivative of. So this is dy dt is what this is. So if you hit execute, it comes back and it uses the chain rule properly. So it has, like you would do by hand, this term, that's the derivative of y with respect to x, right, which you recognize. And then it doesn't use dots, but it uses ticks, and so it says x tick, so it's saying that's x dot, so that's your chain rule. If you want to take a second derivative, that's real easy. All you have to do is say you want the derivative of y comma t, so that'll be the second derivative. I'm sure you can figure out what the third derivative would be or whatever, so we'll execute that one, and it comes back and shows you that. So here's the first term. If you notice, the first term has 2 x ticks, so it has 2 dots in it. Second term has got an x tick tick, so it has 2 dots in that one. So of course it does know how to use a chain rule, and we got the same result by hand. Now I'm going to show you some mistakes. So I'm going to quit. I'm just asking it to forget everything it knew. So you can see that it did that, because if I say what's y, it says y is y, right? Because it forgot everything. So I'm just going to redefine. I'm going to say y, one equal sign, x cubed. Now if you notice the difference here, I'm not putting the bracket t. So what's happening is Mathematica thinks that x is a constant because I didn't tell it. So when I say take a derivative of it, you get 0 because y is a constant. So we'll quit again, and I'll show you another mistake. Here what I'm doing is I forgot the square brackets. I'm using parentheses, and it won't like that. So when you hit execute, what it does is says, oh, you want me to take x and multiply by t cubed, and so that's what it gets. It gets t cubed x. It rearranges the formula, so it puts everything in alphabetical order. That's why the t came first and then the x last. But clearly it's not what I intended it to do. So you have to be careful with the parentheses versus the square brackets, etc. But so anyway, so that's how you take 2 derivatives with Mathematica, and showing some errors.